Wednesday, December 13th, 2017, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So it's 4:30 p.m., so I'm a little later than usual today. Markets quite interesting. I mean, the stock market's still doing really well. The Dow is up 133 points, or 0.5%. In about 2.5 hours, we have the FOMC decision. The expectation, of course, is that they raise the Fed funds target rate from 1.25 to 1.5. We're going to have also the statement after 2 p.m. New York. Press conference, economic projections, all quite interesting for the major markets. And the reason why I say major markets is because it looks like the world is splitting into two kinds of markets. The decentralized crypto market, of which the majority of people only think is Bitcoin. And for us who have been following cryptocurrencies for a few years, know that it's spreading into other uses. And we have the ICOs. I know a lot of them are very speculative, but the blockchain technology is growing. But at the same time, I've been thinking a lot the last few weeks, about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. There's still a lot of unanswered questions. There's a lot of conspiracies about what Bitcoin really is. And I have to say, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure what it is. And I'm not sure if it's really what people like me and others in the, small government, free market community are really looking for. Is it really, the best thing since sliced bread, so to speak, cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin? The future will tell. Of course, if you look at the prices and that we've seen, the rise in not just Bitcoin, but all the other currencies, especially like, in the last week, look at ETHEREUM today is $720. Look at Ripple up 25%. LITECOIN traded up to it's at $320. A few weeks ago it was below $100. Yes, the prices have gone up. Does that mean it's something that will last the test of time? Is it real value? Because sometimes price doesn't mean a high price doesn't mean a high value. So it's all really going on right now. I think the general public, they know about Bitcoin now and cryptocurrencies. A lot of people are talking about it, but very few know about the ICOs and actually what blockchain has been used for. As far as conspiracy theories, a lot of people, say that the NSA had a blueprint for cryptocurrencies as long as 20 years ago. People say that Satoshi Nakamoto means Central Intelligence in Japanese. You can look at quantum computing, the technology for quantum computing. Some people argue that the future quantum computers will be able to decode all the encryption in cryptocurrencies in minutes. Some people say that Satoshi Nakamoto set the protocols and the, the parameters for Bitcoin so that it would compensate for technological advances. Did Satoshi Nakamoto compensate for quantum computers? I don't know. I'm not an IT guy. I'm more of a market guy, but I have to look at everything. So is gold, precious metals, finished? I don't think so. My opinion, though, is that if you look at the present system we've got, the fiat money system, 2008, 2009 was a watershed moment. If you saw the movie about Lehman, There's a part where Paulson's meeting all the bankers at the New York Fed, and he gets up and makes a speech in the boardroom and says, you know, the West is effed up. We're finished. The dollar's finished. We're going to be able to delay it for a few more years. Is that where we are? You know, the audits of the TARP program showed that the Fed printed not just the 3 trillion that, you know, 3.5 trillion it has in QE, but it printed another 23 trillion, which it lent to several international banks and other central banks, all the swaps transactions. So let's say it's 26, 27, 30 trillion. How much did they create out of thin air? And if you look at Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, how many Bitcoins have been created? About 16 million. And, you know, the parameter is just for 22 million. And yeah, some people say digital currencies are out of thin air, but the programmers did have to do something. And I'm not saying cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is it now. I'm just saying that at least they had to work at it. While at the Federal Reserve, someone just typed in, you know, 50 billion onto the screen and lent it to the banks out of thin air, and then the banks took that 50 billion and they leveraged it 10 or 20 times and lent it out. So is this surprising that cryptocurrencies are going up so much? No. And again, why hasn't gold gone up? There is another conspiracy. People think that the powers that be knew this was going to happen. People were going to question all the QE, all the money printing. They had to have kind of something to detract attention from gold. So what do you create? Gold 2.0, according to one of the Winklevoss brothers. But as one of my subscribers and viewers, James Economy, and I suggest you go to his website, to his YouTube channel, James Economy. He's really good. As he said, why would gold need a second, you know, an upgrade? It's been around for 5,000 years. It's never failed. Maybe the gold standard has failed several times in different countries, but it's not because of gold. It's because of human imperfection. But gold itself doesn't need gold 2.0. So, but at the moment, people have bought into it. People think that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are better than gold. I personally still don't think that. I think gold and silver ultimately are value. Their prices might right now probably don't reflect the value that they should have. And cryptocurrencies, maybe vice versa. They've moved a little bit too far ahead of themselves. Excuse me. And that's not to say that Ethereum can't be at $2,000 in a year's time, or Bitcoin at 30,000. But it's going to be a very, very, it's like a roller coaster ride. So if you are going to get involved, do your homework, read about security, about wallets and everything, because you need to know about those things. And also physical gold and silver. I highly recommend that. People, you know, I don't think we should all put all our eggs in one basket, but have some exposure to cryptocurrencies. What about the rest of the market? I think, you know, people have basically realized that it's a rigged game for the insiders, for the bankers, you know, for the politicians, and that includes Donald Trump. You know, he's got all the Goldman guys there. And if he really wanted to do something to improve the financial system, if I were President Trump, the first thing I would have done is reinstate Glass-Steagall, you know, separate investment banking from commercial banking. What else would I have done? Made it illegal to trade precious metals futures, make precious metals constitutional money again. I would have abolished the Federal Reserve. But those things are very difficult. The Federal Reserve was created by an act of Congress, and the Congress is bought and paid for by the bankers. Maybe one or two guys like Rand Paul or someone else would have, backed an act to abolish the Federal Reserve, and that would have to go through the states and everything. So it's very difficult, but President Trump, he's still, in the pockets of the bankers, so to speak. Excuse me. So one thing I'd like to talk about, it's another book people seem to like, the viewers seem to like when I talk about books, and I recommend this one here as well, another controversial book, The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, translated from the Russian by Victor E. Marsden. So that's the very interesting book. So it says here, Victor E. Marsden, the translator of the work, was himself a victim of the Communist Revolution in Russia, a Russian correspondent for the Morning Post, it was a UK paper at the time. His fearless description of events in 1917 incurred Soviet anger. He was imprisoned for 2 years and finally returned to England with his health badly affected. He then translated the protocols as soon as he was able. He later became the Morning Post special correspondent in the suite of His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, which is the Duke of Windsor, who had to abdicate, on his 1920 Empire tour. Within a few days of his return from the historic, Marsden died after a brief illness. But basically the protocols, if you read this book, what's happening now is like, you can understand why all these things are happening. And one of the protocols, number 4, says, we shall destroy God. And it says, and I'll read, it's part 3 of protocol number 4. But even freedom might be harmless and have its place in the state economy without injury to the well-being of the peoples if it rested upon the foundation of faith in God, upon the brotherhood of humanity, unconnected with the conception of equality, which is negatived by the very laws of creation, for they have established subordination. So it goes on to say, with such a faith as this, a people might be governed by a wardship of parishes and would walk contentedly and humbly under the guiding hand of its spiritual pastor, submitting the dispositions of God upon earth. This is the reason why, and it goes on to say, it is indispensable for us, I guess the learned elders of Zion, to undermine all faith, to tear out the mind of the goyim, which is the the goyim is the common man, the non-Jewish, the very principle of Godhead and the Spirit, and to put it in its place arithmetical calculations and material needs. And it goes on to say, in order to give the goyim no time to think and take note, their minds must be diverted towards industry and trade. Thus, all the nations will be swallowed up in the pursuit of gain in the race, for it will not take note of their common foe. But again, in order that freedom may once and for all disintegrate and ruin the communities of the goyim, we must put industry and speculative basis. The result of this will be that what is withdrawn from the land by industry will slip through the hands and pass into speculation, that is, to our classes. So that was long and convoluted. I think what it means is that that's a way to extract wealth from people, get them so into money and speculation and gain and material things, so that they forget completely about other things in life, so that they can extract the wealth of their labor from, from the land and industry, from the people. So what I'm trying to say here is that, yes, be involved in cryptocurrencies, be involved in markets, but don't make it everything, because this game is controlled, in my opinion, like Wall Street is, cryptocurrencies, everything that's speculative and easy to create wealth out of nothing. It could very easily pull the rug from underneath you. So that's the way I feel. Am I telling people what to do? No, just the way I look at things. So as I leave here, we've got gold at $1245.50. It's up $1. The range has been $1240 to $1248.80. Silver $1575, up 3. $1566 to $1581. So the main thing, of course, is in 2 hours and 15 minutes, the FOMC. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can follow me on Twitter and on steemit.com as well. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.